Welcome back to yet another edition of the India Development Debate right here on ET Now. I'm Supriya Shrinate, and the row over Rafale refuses to die down. Top leaders from the main opposition party trading charges, with the Congress today meeting up with the country's top auditor, the CAG, requesting for a thorough audit of the mega deal with France for 36 fighter jets there is. Apart from the other charges, the petition lists out how the state-owned Hindustan Aeronautics was eased out to make way for Anil Ambani's Reliance Defence as the Indian partner. The move comes just a day after Defence Minister Nirmala Sitharaman ruled out a JPC probe into the deal, asserting that no rule was flouted while awarding the contract. Clearly, the Congress wants to keep the fire over the Rafale deal alive in the run-up to general elections, forcing the Modi government to go on the back foot. The row over Rafale is a big topic of discussion and debate right here on the India Development Debate this evening. Joining us from the BJP, Syed Zafar Islam. Muhammad Khan represents the Congress party here. Colonel Ajay Shukla, senior journalist and strategic affairs expert, joins us, and so does Abhijit Iyer, senior fellow of Institute of Peace and Conflict Studies. Thank you, each one of you, for being with us. And I really want to begin with you, Colonel Shukla. Why is the Congress, and you know the question really is best answered by the Congress, but I will still have to ask you, why is the Congress approaching the CAG on Rafale when the CAG report in any case is due in December? It is assessing the deal as a matter of due process. What difference does it make for the Congress to now approach the CAG?
Well, this is, Supriya, there's a political sort of offensive going on from the opposition side against the government. They are sensing weakness on the government side. The government is hiding behind confidentiality clauses, is making statements like we are not going to set up a committee to satisfy the ego of the Congress. Now, these are signs of weakness in the position, and the Congress is scenting blood. And it wants to keep the heat on the government in whatever way it can. So it will go to the CAG, it will go to the Supreme Court, it will go to the Court of Public Opinion. This is clearly being seen as a point where the government is in a weak position and where pressure can be mounted.
Can be mounted, and this is obviously a mind game being played on both sides with none other than the two defence ministers, erstwhile UPA defence minister and the present defence minister, now trading charges. But Mohammed, what bearing will the chronology and all the documents that you've given to the CAG audit have? You've asserted that all evidence and facts relating to the Rafale have been submitted to the top auditor. I mean, isn't Supreme Court the right place to raise this issue perhaps? Or I don't know, another court of law.
Absolutely.
Is this also election posturing to keep the Rafale issue alive? Because the CAG in any case is looking into this deal. What difference does it make with you approaching it?
Well, first of all, I believe the CAG is the appropriate institution to approach. It isn't as if the Supreme Court is the final institution. It is the only institution that we must seek recourse to. The Supreme Court is a court of final appeal. And when the time is appropriate, perhaps if the need arises, we may approach the Supreme Court. But as of this moment, we believe that the Court of Public Opinion is where this matter must be tested, and the CAG is the appropriate authority under the Constitution to review a deal like this. We have gone to the CAG armed with reams of documents. We've gone armed with multiple documents which substantiate our position. Nothing is based on opinion. Everything is based on fact. We talk about the fact that the Prime Minister unilaterally altered the terms of the deal. He did it while bypassing mandatory procedures for defence procurement. He did it while bypassing the Cabinet Committee on Security. These checks and balances exist for a reason. When we probe the deal further, Supriya, we find that the beneficiary of this sudden knee-jerk decision of the Prime Minister is a company that is incorporated barely a couple of weeks ago and lacks any qualifications for the deal other than their proximity to the Prime Minister. We begin to ask questions. Then the third question that begs asking is, you are purchasing 36 jets, which you claim are cheaper, yet you are so reluctant to disclose the price. A, if they are indeed cheaper, why buy only 36 when, as you claim, there is a deficit of jets? And B, if they are indeed lower, then by all means you should be proud to disclose the price. This hesitation, this change of position repeatedly, first Ms. Nirmala Sitharaman comes out, says one thing, then contradicts her a few days later.
Mohammed, one second.
Hiding behind a secrecy clause.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. No, Mohammed, those are conversations that we've had. So give me a minute. I was asking you a simple question. Why have you gone to the CAG? Because the CAG in any case is looking into this deal. But I'm going to ask this question of Syed Zafar Islam, and please keep your answers brief. We've got experts on the show who I want to keep going back to. So let's not have any political mudslinging, but let's keep the answers crisp and brief. If I may ask you, Syed Zafar Islam, is the BJP losing out in the perception game? You have to listen to the Defence Minister's press briefings that are increasingly sounding vague. She said yesterday there is a trust in the Prime Minister. He is not going to be corrupt. People of India have reached a closure on this. What sort of a statement is that? I mean, if the government is so confident, why aren't you going in for a JPC probe? Why can't the, why can't the opposition be taken into confidence and this issue be put to rest? This is an issue of national security.
Well, as you rightly said, this is the issue of national security, something which Congress has repeatedly, UPA government had compromised. They didn't accede to the request made by the Indian Air Force time and again. And when they have not been able to conclude the transaction between Dassault and HAL at that time. Repeated negotiation happened, but there was no meeting of minds. And who, if it is for UPA to respond why HAL was dropped at that time, it is not us. We concluded transaction deal purely because it was warranted, it was required for the national security, and something which Congress had compromised earlier, ignored completely. Secondly, repeatedly I have heard Mr. Khan says that there was no cabinet committee of security approval was there when the Prime Minister went through France. This is absolutely absurd. Let the CAG report come as and when the CAG audit does happen. But it is absolutely baseless when he propagates such information, because all the approval was in place when the transaction was concluded. Third thing, in terms of perception, the Honorable Prime Minister's perception vis-a-vis Rahul Gandhi's perception and all the other Congress leaders' perception is known to everyone. The people of India know that there is a man who actually has a mission to make a new India, to have a mission to make the Indian force, the army, everyone is strong.
Syed Zafar Islam and Muhammad Khan.
Yeah.
No, 1 second. You can't outshout me on my debate. Syed Zafar Islam and Muhammad Khan. This is not about perception. Please try and understand that. You can't have perceptions on a defense deal. There is either some truth here and some truth there. This is not perceptions. But let me go across to Abhijit. And Abhijit, how surprised are you with the Congress marching to the CAG? And at the same time, news breaking about Christian Michael, the Augusta Westland middleman, reportedly being deported or prepared to be deported to India. Will the focus now return to the chopper scam of sorts?
Well, I don't know if it's going to turn out to be like the chopper scam. And I honestly don't know what to make of the Christian Michel thing, because I'm hearing very conflicting reports that it wasn't actually a real story or something like that. So I don't want to get into that. But what I do want to stick with is the Rafale. So first of all, I really welcome the Congress going to the CAG on the Rafale, because this is actually a constructive move. This is how you actually do things without disrupting the defense of the country. And in the process, I have complete confidence in the CAG. But kudos to Rahul Gandhi and the Congress for actually going to the CAG and seeing. I personally don't think their accusations will hold any water, because I think, as I've explained on this show and several other shows before, the process was followed to a T. Most of the questions have a very logical answer, which come under the Official Secrets Act, which the CAG is cleared to look at and be given those explanations. And I do believe that it will be cleared. But overall, I think it's a very positive development that the Congress is going to the CAG with its concerns about the deal.
Okay, let me just go across to Colonel Shukla. Colonel Shukla, the total value of Augusta chopper was 3,600 crore rupees. Minuscule when you compare to it compared to the Rafale deal. The chopper was also meant for VIP travels, not for the Indian Air Force per se, but it is clearly a case of BJP's Rafale versus Congress's Augusta Westland. At least that's what the narrative seems to be. As extradition of this VVIP chopper scam middleman looms large, or so we are made to believe, does one need to get ready for the defense scam versus the defense scam to hit the 2019 campaign? Is this what is here to stay, and the substantive issues of the Rafale deal or the Augusta Westland deal actually give way to this sort of cacophony?
Supriya, I think nothing illustrates better the fact that this is political gamesmanship than the sudden resurrection of the Augusta Westland case right now. You know, one of the two spokespersons was just saying that this is a matter of national security, it's not a matter of political gamesmanship. Had this been a matter of national security, had our two biggest and most powerful and influential parties really been concerned about national security, our procurements, our defense structural reform, our various sort of reform measures that are being proposed for defense would have been handled in a very different way. I don't think either of the two parties are at all even slightly serious about national defense and national security. I think both of them, and the sudden resurrection of the Augusta case shows that both of them are really seeing defense only as an arena for political gamesmanship, as an arena for point scoring, as an arena where you can paint one side or the other nationalist and the other side anti-national. I think it's a really sorry reflection about where we stand as a sort of country with serious defense problems of its own. Coming very quickly to the point that Abhijit had made, while you know, it can be argued that the permission was taken for the cabinet committee sanctioned permission was taken before the deal was actually signed. There is one very fundamental technical flaw in what the BJP did. When they transitioned from the 126 Rafale MMRCA deal to the 36 Rafale over-the-counter purchase, they should have gone, according to the defense procurement procedure, back to the Air Force, taken an acceptance of necessity from the Defense Ministry, and then processed that 36 deal as an independent deal separate from the 126 deal. That procedure was not done at all, and that is a glaring lacuna. That's a serious problem with the BJP's position. But I suppose it will be argued in political gamesmanship terms.
Yes. Absolutely, absolutely. And you know, also the other question about Augusta Westland that you rightly pointed out, how does this extradition work? I mean, given he's a Swiss and a UK national, tried at a court in Dubai, he's gone missing ever since the Dubai order did come in. So I don't know what people are talking about. Maybe this is political upmanship at all. But, you know, Syed Zafar Islam, keep that answer brief that I'm going to ask you on. And then I have a quick question to ask of Mohammad Khan as well. The allegations and counter allegations, of course, are heightening on Rafale with the UPA and the NDA defense ministers now locking horns in a matter of high decibel press conferences. Mr. Antony asked, if the price of the BJP is so much better than what the UPA was getting, why did you not go ahead and buy all 126 aircraft instead of just 36? Add to the point that Ajay Shukla is making, that even if you were bringing it down, why did you not go back to the Air Force, get the required sort of requisite nods that were required? Isn't that a valid question? If you were getting such a great price, why not 126 and just 36 instead? We need more modern equipment for Indian Air Force, don't we?
Well, the clarification in this regard has already in public domain by the none other than Defense Minister itself. Why 36 instead of 126? But what is more important, the accusation that we didn't bring reform in defense sector is something which is not true. In fact, if you see the DPP, we have changed the DPP. The earlier DPP was only for the purpose of buying from overseas suppliers, even the smaller parts, spare parts. Now you have the know-how, the technology transfer is something which becomes part of DPP, which was earlier not there. And the why it was not there, because the negotiation, even earlier, the negotiation in Augusta land, in all the other defense transactions which they have done, UPA, purely because there is always a middleman who is responsible for accepting kickback and passing on to the UPA leadership. And that is something which we have completely put a full stop, because we have changed the DPP. We are forcing the supplier or the
no, you're not answering. Zafar, I'll have to come in there and I have
to provide all the technology and know-how to the country.
Arguments. You are not answering a question that I have asked you. You're going on to modernization of defense. That's not my question. You're not taking my questions directly. But Mohammed, I'm asking you, and please keep your answer very brief. If Mr. Antony
as far as the process is,
why as far as
the process is concerned,
please wait. Zafar, please wait. Why
as
did
far as the
Mr. Antony not buy the defense equipment in his tenure? He was defense minister for 8 years. The proposal first came in 2001. We cannot laud inaction of Mr. Antony, can we? And keep your answer
That
brief.
is correct. Well, what you call inaction, I call observance and compliance of government rules and regulations. 2007 is when the bidding, when the RFP was put out and the Eurofighter Typhoon and the Rafale jet competed. 2012 it was formalized. By 2013, and here I want to correct Mr. Zafar Islam because he said there was no complete agreement between HAL and Dassault. This is part of our letter, and this is just one line, Supriya, so you will indulge me. On 13th March 2014, a work share agreement worth approximately 36,000 crores was signed between HAL and Dassault Aviation. 70% work of the 108 aircrafts was to be made in India and was to be done by HAL. The remaining 30% was to be done by Dassault. So when Mr. Islam comes here and lies on national television that there was no agreement in place, we have annexed the agreement. It is available for anyone to see. Number two, Mr. Islam and his colleagues keep saying that
Why didn't you close the transaction then?
when you
You
ask
should have
them
closed that
exactly
deal.
which section has been complied
Mohammed,
with, they
exactly my
always say,
question.
Why-
Mr. Islam, I did
why-
not
why
interrupt
there
you,
was
let me
There may
complete
have
my
been an
point.
agreement
Now,
in place. He
they-
was
you'll have to let me
for
complete.
8 long years.
Supriya, you'll have to let me
All
complete.
three
I didn't
of us
interrupt him.
can't be
He's getting
speaking at the same
rattled.
time.
He's getting
No,
rattled.
one second.
He has no
Syed
answers,
Zafar
and of course I
Islam and
understand
Mohammed
that.
Khan, all three of us cannot be speaking at the same time. No, Syed Zafar Islam and Mohammed Khan, all three of us can't be speaking at the same time. You will now have to indulge me because I'm taking a question to Abhijit. Abhijit, the dogfight, I understand, this is political, but Rafale has now taken a dangerous trend. We've seen a video of the defense minister who is hinting at kickbacks that stalled the deal during UPA. Is that a responsible position to take? Nirmala Sitharaman responded to a question saying, let the rumors gain strength. This isn't political mudslinging. It's a grave defense breach. If there were to be rumors like this, isn't it on the ruling side to, to clarify on this? Aren't politicians being too callous? A brief answer there, Abhijit.
Look, I agree, but see, in an ideal society, defense shouldn't be politicized. But let's face it, there's not a single society where defense does not get politicized. That said, I just want to touch on two specific, is it dangerous? Of course, yes. I just want to touch on two specific questions that I disagreed with in the previous argument you had with, not argument, the conversation you had with Ajay and Zafar and Mohammed, which is this. First is the reduction of the number to 36. There was absolutely no procedural violation in terms of the 2013 DPP under which it was signed, because Article 71, 72 are very clear on the intergovernmental agreement that you do not need certain kinds of approval except when the deal is signed, which is what happened. Why was it abandoned? Well, the abandonment is the procedural question, because there is no clause for abandonment either in the 2013 DPP or in the 2016, the new DPP that the NDA government came up with. So it is rather the abandonment of 126, not the new number of 36. That is a question.
Right. Abhijit, I'm sorry, I'll have to cut you short there because I have to jump to HAL. Okay. Okay. No, Abhijit, I can't let you indulge in a second point right now. I'll have to go across to Colonel Shukla. And Colonel Shukla, the debate now seems to be boiling down to the big bone of contention, which is how HAL was removed and, of course, a private company was brought in. The trading of charges now is that the BJP and the defense minister now says that the accountability for sidelining the interest of HAL lies with the UPA and not her government. Where does that accountability rise? And even if UPA did sideline it, why could the ruling established not get HAL back in the game?
Actually, that's I'm sorry to use the word, but that's a lie. The UPA government was, at the cost of extending the negotiating process further and further, was insisting against Rafale's counter insistence. The UPA government was insisting that HAL had to be the primary build partner in this deal. Dassault all along was trying to shift a greater part of the responsibility to Reliance, whereas the government was saying that HAL is the primary build partner and will continue to play a major role. This was also evident from the fact that Eric Trappier, who is the Dassault chief, just a few days before the Modi announcement in Paris, the Dassault chief Eric Trappier actually said that we have ironed out every detail with HAL and the deal is on the, and we are, on the verge of signing an agreement between HAL and DASO. So where is the question of HAL being bumped out of the deal? This is purely a figment of Nirmala Sitharaman's imagination.
Precisely. No, and not just that. I mean, this was said that 95% was done. But let me very quickly ask you, Zafar Islam, please keep your answer short. HAL exports to the Vietnam Air Force. It exports to Royal Thai Air Force, the Nepal Army, the Royal Army Force, Oman and Boeing, USA amongst many others. HAL produces 15 types of aircraft from in-house R&D, the likes of Sukhoi and, all of that. It's a fully self-reliant organization that makes profit, and yet the defense minister says HAL was incapable of producing Rafale.
Well, see, for 10 years, for several years they were negotiating, and there was no meeting of minds. I think if there was at all, HAL was interested, they could have concluded the deal. But no, they could have concluded the deal, and not that the defense minister at that time has played any role to ensure that HAL gets the deal concluded and with the vendor. But it didn't happen purely because there was no meeting of minds, and HAL was clearly showing there was no interest on their part. Having said that, it's something which we have not engaged a private party. It is the responsibility of the vendor to who they shoot for the offset agreement, to comply with the offset agreement. It is their discretion. It is not our discretion. They have chosen a private firm. It is their discretion.
And you can tell Russia on rifles.
Anyone else as
No, 1 second. Okay, Zafar, I'm sorry, I'll have to butt in there, and you can tell Russia on rifles. That argument doesn't hold true. No, there's double speak there. But there's double speak also on the Congress's part. While the government may have boxed itself in a situation where it cannot answer any questions, and it has said that you can't ask us any questions also, does it also suit the Congress and everybody else, including the opposition and the rest of the opposition, to perpetuate this to elections and beyond? Because, Rafale will be tainted just perhaps like Bofors was. It will raise suspicions in the minds of the voters. Is there a political game at play, and do defense deals become fodder for vindictive politicians? Mohammad?
Well, Supriya, I would assume that you would hold us accountable if we didn't raise it as one of the checks and as one of the pillars of government, as the main party in opposition. It is our constitutional responsibility to expose this government when it indulges in propaganda like Mr. Islam is demonstrating, and lies, outright lies, as are being exposed on your channel. I want to tell you one thing. This is a key point. Look, Mr. A.K. Anthony was a responsible minister. When the Augusta Westland issue arose, what did he do? Immediately ordered an inquiry, blacklisted them. Now, when we bring this matter to their attention, they hide behind flimsy rules, they hide behind political propaganda, and there is not one word of fact that Mr. Islam has uttered in this entire debate. I have quoted to you the agreement. I have quoted to you our various documents that we put before the CAG. Yeah.
Okay, Mohammad, I'm sorry, I'll have to cut you short there. I've completely run out of time here. I will have to cut you short there. There is political propaganda on both sides of the political spectrum. The reality is that defense deals in any case are murky because they are liable to so much of political fodder that vindictive politicians will take. Sunlight, like I have often said on this show, is the best disinfectant. Why can the government not take the opposition into confidence and reveal some of the details? It's boxing itself in an argument saying we cannot reveal. That is not true. And as far as Mr. Anthony is concerned, he can trade many charges. But he was a defense minister who blacklisted every firm, even if he got objections on a blank sheet of paper. So, inaction cannot be lauded also. Thanks very much for being with us on this edition of the India Development Debate. Colonel Shukla, Abhijit Iyer Mitra, Zafar Islam, and of course, Mohammad Khan. Thank you very much for being with us. We take a quick breather, back with Top 10 at 10.